them. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Hello. Right, I'll just let people filter in.
Hey.
People, it's asking for a password. I would just make sure everyone is on mute, or else it's probably going to bug me out a little bit, and then we will get going. Charlie's just letting people in the waiting room, and we'll do like 2 minutes and then we'll get going. Just let people filter in. People who've got their cameras on, can you just give me like a thumbs up if I look clear and sound clear? It's all fine. Amazing. Right, we'll give it 1 minute. How many people are in here? A fair few. Cool. Right, let's start because it's recorded anyway, so if people miss the start, that's fine. Hello, welcome to the webinar. It's going to be 20 minutes of just me talking at you. If you have a question whilst we go, there's like a little chat box icon that I fear only Charlie can see because he's the host. But just pop a question in there and then I'll either answer it if I remember to pause like halfway through, or I'll answer it at the end when we do the Q&A. Oh, I can see it. Hold on. Yeah, I've got the chat box. There we go. That's good. So any questions as we're going about things that I'm saying, please pop it in there. Right. And also, the Wi-Fi in our flat can be slightly temperamental. So this first tester, if it's utterly crap, I'll hire out an office space next time, but hopefully it won't be. We're recording, so I've remembered to do that. Make notes on your phone or on a piece of paper because I'm going to be going through like the fundamentals of fat loss, which a lot of my clients who've been working with like us for ages, it will be like a so easy to them. But people often don't know the crux of what basically a calorie deficit is. So I'm going to walk through that. And then, like I said, at the end, if there's any questions that come up, I'll answer them, but I'll also answer all those questions that came up on Facebook. So let's get going. So fat loss versus weight loss. This is like how I want people to change their minds. So often we get people come to us going, oh, I want to lose weight. I want to lose like X amount of weight. And that's fantastic. But really what someone wants to do is they want to lose fat, because weight is when you jump on the scales and you get a figure. It's not just measuring your body fat percentage, it's measuring everything in your body, like your muscle mass, your organ weight, the food in your actual stomach. And so really what we're working to do is decrease our body fat percentage. So try and disconnect the phrase weight loss and think of it more as fat loss and trying to decrease our body fat percentage. And fat is just stored calories. So I literally want you to look at the body fat that we have on our bodies is just stored excess calories. That's all it is. So we need to basically find a way to get rid of the stored excess calories. So we do that by being in something called a calorie deficit. And this is so simple. And once everyone wraps their head around it, fat loss is so easy. So if you think about what the word deficit means, the word deficit means kind of having less of something or being deficient in something. So you just want to put your body in a state of sustainable, in a deficiency of calories in a sustainable way. So essentially, you want to be burning more calories than what you are eating, because again, it's all just stored calories. So you want to be burning more than you're eating. And we just need to get you into that kind of energy balance consistently. So this little lovely graph that a lot of you may have seen before represents what makes up how we burn calories. And there's lots of different factors because we need to work out how many calories you as a person burn in order to pitch how many calories you should be eating. So it's first of all mainly made up of our metabolism, which I'm sure a lot of you have heard of that word before. And that basically means our calories at rest. So if we were to sit in bed for 24 hours of a day and not move a muscle, we would still burn a really good amount of calories because our heart's beating, our lungs are breathing, we're doing all of like the life-sustaining functions. So that's your metabolism. Then you've got your NEAT, which stands for non-exercise activity thermogenesis. Essentially, that is your step count. So when you get out of bed in the morning and you walk to go and brush your teeth, or you walk to your car to drive to work, you're constantly burning calories by doing that like low intensity movement. So again, that adds to the calories that you burn in a day. Then you've got the thermic effect of food. Woo, that's gone off. Is that back on for everyone? Anyone with a camera on, can you see my screen? Yeah, cool. We burn calories through digestion. So when you eat food and you break it down, energy is required to break it down. So you're burning calories that way. And then at the top there, you've got your exercise. So when you head to the gym and you do 30, 45-minute session, that's only actually contributing to about 5% of what you burn in a day. So when people come to us going, I need to lose weight, I've not got my gym plan sorted, it's like, okay, but what are you actually doing outside of the gym? So that gives you a kind of holistic view of how we burn calories in a day. So working out actual figures for someone, it's going to be very different person to person. I will burn different calories to what Charlie burns to what Evie burns. And there's kind of a formula that we use and we plug in your data. And I won't walk you through that, but essentially it takes into account your height, because someone who is taller will burn more calories. It takes into account your weight, because if you weigh more, you're going to be burning more calories because your body requires more energy to kind of keep going. That's really important because when you lose weight, you then start to burn less calories and it becomes harder to lose weight. Your age, as you get older, it's harder to lose weight. And then that's all that we plug in. So height, weight, age, and gender. Males burn more calories than females, unfortunately. So that's how we'll work out your metabolic rate. We then times that figure by generally how active you are. We'll times it by a certain number. So if you have a very sedentary job, you will burn less calories than someone who is a factory worker on their feet all day. So we've got a figure, and I'm going to show you an example of an actual example in a moment. But we at Potentia want you to lose at least 0.5 kilo to 1 kilo of body fat per week. So like I said, if this is stored calories, in 0.5 kilo of this stored body fat, there's 3,500 calories. So if we want you to lose 0.5 kilo over, say, a week, if we divide 3,500 calories by 7 days in the week, that means you need to be in a calorie deficit of 500 calories per day. This is all a bit mathsy, but this is literally as complicated as it gets. So you take what you burn in a day and you minus off 500 calories, and that is what gives you your calorie target. And that is how we have worked out how many calories you should be eating in a day. This is a good example. So if my metabolic rate, so if the calories that I was to burn at rest, not moving a muscle all day, was 1,400, and then I went about my day, and so as a total, I burn 2,000 calories. In order to lose 0.5 kilo of body fat per week, I need to be eating 1,500 calories because I've just minused 500 calories off of this figure. So with the Lean in 6, in spirit of it being a 6-week shred, we've obviously gone slightly more aggressive than we would have if it was slightly longer. But all we have done is minus 500 calories off what your predicted burn is. And if you do that consistently, the body fat will come off. So that's a really good example. Right, that's that first bit. Anything in the chat? It's not popping up for me. No, let's just keep going. Okay, so we've established that calories are fundamental, and it's really, really, really important to note that with your calorie target, technically, you could eat that amount of calories of brownies, and as long as you didn't go over that number, you'd still lose the body fat. Obviously, that's not ideal, and obviously it would plateau at some point. And that's where we start to look at macros. So macros are the nutrients that make up the calories that we eat. And these are carbs, fats, and proteins. Not going to run into that too much because it will probably come up in check-ins. But carbs are used for energy, proteins used for muscle growth and repair, and fats are used for energy production as well, but also like hormone production and brain function, etc. So these are the things that make up your calories. And a general macro overview is we look to have about 30% of your calories being made up by protein, and this is how we get the gram amount. Carbs being about 40% and fats being about 30%. So as a general rule of thumb, that's what you should be looking for. But again, we've not really programmed macros for anyone because calories are key. And that's the only thing we need you to be focusing on right now. But as a general rule of thumb, that's what we look for macronutrients. However, the one thing you do have is a protein goal. And that's because Charlie said I stole his phrase here, but protein is king. And that's for many reasons. And it's really refreshing to see some of you put this in the group chat. It's really boring when you hear people say it, but protein genuinely keeps you fuller for longer. And in turn, it's going to stop you from snacking, which is going to keep your calories in line more. So protein is king because it keeps us fuller for longer. But it also, remembered I put this in here, as I said earlier, if you burn calories through digestion, we burn the most calories through digesting protein. So if your calorie deficit is about eating more calories than what you burn, if you are burning more, you're going to be increasing your calorie deficit and you're going to burn more through eating protein because it requires more energy to break down and digest. So it keeps us fuller, and we also and that's on protein. So the main reasons we go over calories, because it's all well and good me sitting here saying, right, you've got your protein goal, you just have to be consistent with it. But if it was that easy, we'd all be shredded as hell. So there are a couple of main reasons why we go over calories. The first is hidden calories. And if this is someone's first time tracking, it's going to be shocking how many hidden calories there are, especially in that it made me laugh when someone put, oh my God, this 18 grams of granola is absolutely pathetic. And yeah, it is, because often granola can be packed full of like nuts and oils and seeds and things. But it's really eye-opening to see that actually that glug of olive oil that you put in your pan to like lubricate it, that's 150 calories right there. If you have a squirt of mayo, that's 100 calories right there. Same with a handful of nuts. We might go to the cupboard and take a handful of nuts because they're really healthy, right? Yeah, they are healthy, but they're full of fats. So that's one reason we go over calories. The next is alcohol and or weekends. So alcohol is really, really calorific. So if you're, necking back some vodka pineapple juices, like you're going to be 1,000 calories over on that day, bumping you out of your deficit for the week. So that's another thing. The same with weekends. And it's going to be really interesting to see who manages their weekends well, because you can be so on plan. in the week. You can be like, yeah, 1,400 calories, nailed it, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then something slips on the weekend because you're out of routine, and then suddenly your average for the week has gone out the window. So weekends are really like pivotal for fat loss. So bear that in mind when we head to the weekend and see how easy you find it to navigate. The next is sugary drinks. Some people have been asking about tracking drinks. Things like a glass of apple juice, you might not think about that, but that's super high in calories. If you have full fat Coke, if you have full fat Fanta or Oasis or things like that, they're all calories. Luckily, a lot of us are trained to have diet drinks and stuff now, but it's really like useful to know that even liquids can be full of calories. And then snacking. So I'm a snacker, and so is probably like everyone in this Zoom call. But you can be so unplanned with your meals, but if you come home and you just raid the cupboard or take a handful of something. Oh, let me just mute that. Charlie, can you just mute whoever's? Yeah, cool. If you just head to the cupboard and grab something, like that can be bumping you over your calories, and for what? For 3 seconds of enjoyment. So these are just some really common reasons why we go over calories. And I think like if you have these in the back of your mind and mindfully think about what you're having, it'll be really interesting to see if you think you are falling victim of that. Another thing I want you to think about is there's no point in tracking your food if you're not tracking it all. And when I was in the depths of my photo shoot prep last year, I'm not embarrassed to say, I was a secret snacker. And it's probably going to be refreshing for you to hear a coach say this, but I'd wait till Charlie'd gone to bed, and then I'd head outside, go walk through the garden, head outside to the garage. There was a fridge in the garage, and I'd get out whatever chocolate was in there from, I don't know, probably like 2 years ago. And I'd be like, oh, Charlie, just put the washing in the tumble dryer. Little did he know, I wasn't just doing that to be nice. I was doing it to go and eat a chocolate bar. And luckily, like my self-restraint, I didn't do that often. But like these are real things that you all might do with or without thinking. But if you're not tracking it all and you're wondering why the scales aren't going down over a couple of weeks, this could be why. So just make sure throughout this whole 6 weeks that you are just tracking everything that you eat, or else it's basically pointless. So that's on that. The next thing is there's so much noise about, specifically at the moment, weight loss jabs. But you've got your things like your shake diets, Herbalife. I don't even know the fad diets because I don't entertain it. But whatever fad diet, like 1 meal a day, whatever. The principle of them is the exact same. They are all trying to get you in a calorie deficit. Someone injects themselves with Ozempic or Mounjaro. It's playing havoc with their blood sugar so that they feel sick, so that they don't want to eat. And that's in turn just putting them in a calorie deficit because they're not consuming as much food. So just understand that the fad diets that are out here and the pills and the jabs that you can take are all just to get you into this calorie deficit. And you guys are just doing the same thing, but in the proper way. And it will be really kind of refreshing to get your opinion of that at the end of the 6 weeks. It's all the same. It's all about getting you in a calorie deficit. So there's two approaches you can take to your nutrition: a fixed meal plan or the flexible approach. So just going through what either of those mean. The fixed meal plan option is obviously where we give, in fact, I'm just going to pause because the chat box is coming up. So that's just questions that I can answer at the end. Cool. Okay, so a fixed meal plan is obviously where someone gives you a very clear outline of what you need to eat and you follow it. So I've given you all meal plans and I'm going to continue to give you meal plans every Saturday for the following weeks. That's one approach you can take. The next is flexible dieting, where you can be in charge of choosing what you want to eat, but you track it to make sure it's within your calories and macros, and jobs are good. And there's pros and cons to each. And here's the pros and cons. So with the flexible dieting approach, where you choose what you want to eat and you track it, there is more choice. You can have anything, you can make anything work. But sometimes there's too much choice. There's too much choice, it can get overwhelming, and you're like, oh, I can't think about what I'm going to need to have for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. The flexible dieting approach can be less boring, but can it in turn make you choose poorer choices that just seem more appealing? Potentially. Arguably, flexible dieting is more maintainable longer term because you feel less restricted. But then it can become very overwhelming with tracking, especially if you're quite new to it, because you're like, well, what the hell do I eat to hit my calories and macros? And then also the flexible dieting approach, a pro to it is you do gain a better understanding of your nutrition when you're choosing what you need to eat. But again, that can be quite time consuming because you've got to sit there and plan it. Moving over to meal plans. Meal plans are very, very easy to follow. Like, I've given you what you need to eat. You can just go out, buy it, make it. Fab. They can be, however, quite boring. And as someone who loves food, I can really appreciate that eating boring food isn't always that fun. It gives you perfectly calculated macros. Obviously, there's some slight discrepancy when you track it with the brands of things that you eat, but we're here or thereabout. Like we're there or thereabouts with the calories and macros. But again, it can feel slightly restrictive if you think, right, this is all that Freya said I can eat. Slightly boring. Arguably, it's going to get you quicker results because the calories and macros are so like perfectly calculated, but you kind of have to have a coach to provide that for you. And for some people, that's not always a financial, that's not realistic for them financially. And then another pro with meal plans is obviously there's less thought that goes into it because you're just following something really simply, but it can be less compatible with social events. Because good on you if you go to your social event with a box of chicken and rice. You won't catch me doing that anytime soon. So there's pros and cons to each. So I can't make that decision for you, but I urge you during this 6-week challenge to try both. A majority of you are on these meal plans, but maybe in week 3, when you're feeling a bit more confident, say, I'm going to have a go at choosing my own meals this week and spending 30 minutes on the Sunday, getting all my food prepped and tracked so I can make sure that my quantities are right, so that you get a feel for the flexible approach as well as a meal plan, because you can follow the meal plans past the 6 weeks, probably will get a bit boring. So yeah, please do try both. I'm going to have a sip of my Stanley, and then I've got some questions from the Facebook group chat, and then some questions in the Q&A box. Any like feedback or questions from this, can you all just type anything so that I can come to it once I've answered this question, if there is anything. And then let me just actually pull up this chat box so it doesn't disappear on me. Okay. First question. Do you weigh the food before or after cooking? Generally, I weigh it before. With meats, weigh it before. With carbs, it doesn't really matter whether you weigh it before or after. You just got to make sure that the entry that you find on MyFitnessPal is either the raw or the cooked version, because there's going to be a difference in calories with 75 grams of cooked pasta and 75 grams of raw, because the cooked will be water weight as well. So generally, I like to weigh my carbs raw and meat raw. I always weigh things raw. Hope that helps. Next question is, what if we are under calories for the day? Fine. You're just going to be in more of a deficit. So that's a positive of it. But you're then running the risk of then being really hungry and binging. So you might be like, oh, fab, I've eaten 1,100 calories today. I've banked. But then when you get in bed at 9 p.m., you might be absolutely starving and then go and raid the fridge. So it's like, it's okay. Don't be under your calories consistently for days and days and days, but the odd day here or there, it's really not a problem. Is going over your protein target an issue, and why? Not really, as long as you are not going over your calories. So going back to obviously the start of the video, calories are the only thing that matters really for fat loss. If your protein is high, great, as long as it's not taking you over your calorie target. So it flashes up red sometimes on the app, like when you've gone over, that can seem really aggressive and like in your face. Like I say, as long as your calories are where they need to be, not really bothered. Should we be photographing our meals, particularly if we're eating out and can't detail individual ingredients? There's no expectation for you to track your meals out. When you do your check-ins, which by the way, the first one will be being sent tomorrow, you can put, there's like a notes thing that you can add some detail into. Just pop in there, went out on Saturday, obviously you can reference the week before, or going out on Saturday, had this or planning to have this, and then we can keep in the loop if there's like a gap in your tracking. As part of the check-in, there'll be like a meal out. It'll basically say, have you got any social events coming up? If so, where? Pop where you're going, and then we can help you choose the best thing on the menu of that. It'll be really self-explanatory when you get the form through. Next questions. This protein bar snack one, I'm definitely the wrong person to ask. I'll pop it in the Facebook group chat tonight about some good recommendations, because you're right, protein bars can be really like high in calories, and I don't eat them myself, so I'll just get some good recommendations and pop them in there for that. Daily weigh-ins. Now this can be a slightly controversial one, but you need to look at it from a personal kind of mental headspace way. So the benefits of weighing yourself every day are you're going to see that it's going to go up and down and up and down. So one day you might be 60.1 kg, the next day you might be 60.8, then it might go up again, then it might come down. The reason we ask you to weigh yourself every day is because we take the lowest figure, and that is because your weight is so influenced by water retention, which is influenced by hormones, how many carbs you ate the day before, how much salt you ate the day before, whether you've been for a poo recently, whether you drank much water, all these things. So if you just weighed yourself once a week, you might be choosing a day that has spiked. And actually, that might annoy you more than weighing yourself every day. So the short answer is we take the average so that all these things don't contribute to it quite so much. But if it mentally challenges you to weigh yourself every day, then don't do it. You know, mental health comes first, and just do it once a week. But bear in mind that one figure might be influenced. I've answered the protein ones. That's cool. Tea and coffee, the odd dash of milk here or there. I'm not bothered about you tracking it. No, if you're having like black coffee, no, don't track it. If you're having a cup of tea with a dash of milk, don't track it. The only time we do want you to start tracking it is if you have it really milky and with lots of sugar, then I'd like you to start tracking your teaspoons of sugar and milk and stuff like that. But that's the only time I'd want you to do that. Does timing of eating meals matter? No. You could eat 1,500 calories all at 10 p.m. at night, and I wouldn't care. It's not going to impact your body fat percentage. The only thing it is going to impact is your scale weight the next day, because you'll just have more physical food in your stomach that you've not yet pooed out. So it's not going to impact your body fat percentage, just maybe the scale weight the next day through more mass of food. That is all. But obviously, if you time it more strategically throughout the day, you're going to be less likely to snack. So that's that. Another question about if we weigh rice, pasta, etc. before or after cooking. Again, doesn't matter. I tend to do raw. Just make sure the entry on MyFitnessPal is correct that you use. This was a good question. What will it look like for us after the 6 weeks? I know these calories aren't sustainable for me as I'm going to bed hungry every night, so I'm worried I'll just put it all back on once I eat normally again. So obviously that depends on where you are in your physique and your journey. A lot of you, being honest, will not get to your final desired result within 6 weeks. It's gonna take you being consistent for a while longer to get to your end result, but this will be a massive kickstart for you. So if you still need to get your result, you are still going to have to continue on your deficit calories. And if that means putting them up by 100 or 200 calories a day, so be it. You'll still be in a deficit. It will just be slightly slower progress. But if it means that you're going to be more consistent, then fantastic. In terms of maintenance and making sure that you don't put the weight back on again, the final webinar is going to be about like what's next, how to go into maintenance and what to do. So I'm not really going to go into it now because I will be covering that in a full webinar. This question was about workouts. Do we have to do the 3 sets of exercise separately, or can we do them all as a circuit? Really, whatever's the most time efficient for you. So if actually like cutting down the rest times and doing all of your exercises with no rest and then resting and then doing them all again is more time efficient for you, do it. Can we add weights to the tummy section? I assume that means like the ab exercises. Yes, of course you can. If you can add weight to any exercise, please do. And obviously I've already answered the protein question. Right, quickly in the chat box, the next question is, what if I can't track food? I'm going to a family lunch on the weekend and I'm not cooking, so how would I track this? Just what I said 5 or so minutes ago, pop it in your check-in. No need to even try to track it. Just aim for like 1 plate of food, half of your plate being like fruit or vegetables, 1/4 of it being protein, 1/4 of it being carbs, and just pop it in your check-in form so that we're aware. I ordered Ozempic, I have one in the fridge, and then thought, what am I doing? I can pay the same amount and get fitter mentally and physically via Potentia. So glad I swerved it. Good. Put it in the bin, sell it on the black market. You're doing the right thing. The next question is, what about drinks with sweeteners and like such as stevia? Yeah, good option. Like obviously that's a lot less calorific. So if you are someone who likes a sweeter cup of tea, put a bit of stevia in it. That's a really good option. Is it better to have a protein bar, low in sugar or sugar-free simple bar? It's better to have whatever fits in your calories. That's the beauty of tracking, and I will get those recommendations over to you. Already said about the eating window. Can I have my protein upped a bit as kept going over, or should I cut it back? Joe, we can up your protein, absolutely. Just prompt us in a comment somewhere to do that tonight. How will you monitor calories? If I ate 100 calories less than what you have set me Monday to Friday and then save the 500 calories for a Saturday, would you think I have failed? No, I think you would be an extremely smart woman. So that's a principle called calorie banking. So if you have a social event where you know it's going to be impossible to stay within your calories, a tactic you can use is calorie banking. And that is taking calories away from the days leading up to the event so that you can have them on the day. So if your calorie goal is 1,500, put your thing on.
Oh, you want? It's going to be a bit blurry.
Yeah, it's fine. Technical error. My laptop died, but Charlie is on it. Where's your camera? Here. Right. Hold on. Right, sorry if I'm not looking at any of you. If you have a calorie goal of 1500, you could eat 1400 Monday to Friday, and then you will have banked 500 calories leading up to the day. I'm so disorientated with his setup. It's far too techy for me, but I think I've answered some of the questions, answered the stevia one. What are your thoughts on light options being bad for health over full fat options? I want to lose weight, but conscious of anything that could interfere with my health and hormones. As long as you are getting like at least 30% fat in your diet, unless you've been told otherwise by like a health professional, that's completely adequate. Your hormones aren't going to be like or shouldn't really be affected by that. So as I'd say, as long as you're getting 30% fat in your diet, that's fine. And you shouldn't always avoid the low fat options. That's something people do tend to do on a fat loss journey. So just make sure you're getting 30% in. My scales are broke and I'm waiting for them to arrive. So I haven't been able to input weight daily. I hear it check in tomorrow. If the scales are not here, what do I do? Wait for your scales to arrive, get some new photos at the weekend, and we'll just monitor your progress like that. Go on holiday in 2.5 weeks. What workouts can I do as I won't be near a gym? Pop it in your check-in and we'll give you some body weight workouts. But like I said, it's all about your deficit and not always about your workouts. So actually, if you just get a good amount of steps in and monitor your diet well, which we'll talk you through in check-in, you'll be just fine. Relax, you're on holiday. Eat a lot of veggie meals, always under my protein. Is this okay? Yeah, I put the veggie meal plan on there for you to get some inspo for. I can put a list of high protein veggie options in the chat, but as long as your calories are where they need to be, you will still lose weight, no matter if you are veggie, vegan, or carnivore. I love cardio. How much can I do? This is the last question. You can do as much cardio as you want, as long as it's not enough to make you burn out and want to eat loads of calories. So it's not always the best thing to do, eating loads and loads and doing loads and loads of cardio, because actually it might make you sit down more in the day or eat more calories because you're hungry because of it. So get your steps in. If you're doing 30 minutes to an additional hour a day, great. Anything more than that is quite a lot. So just be careful. Oh, I'm in a new setup. I think that's everything. Just looking through the questions. Thanks, guys. It was fun. I've lost my PowerPoint, but you're all going to get your check-ins tomorrow. There'll be a message sent on the app. Unless you are a one-to-one client, then you'll get them on the days that you usually do. Put as much detail in there as possible. Next webinar will be about training and exercise. Hope to see you all there. It was fun. And yeah, see you in Facebook soon. Bye.
Thanks,
Bye.
Bye.